This is going to be a Master Nightfall solo on the Corrupted this week. For those who just want to see the run and skip the timestamps you have available to you. Other than that, I can show you what setups I had on, what weapons I use, mods, all that stuff. It's just going to be a quick basic run through overview. If you want more information, it will be trickled throughout the run about certain important things about this Nightfall, because it's very nasty at the minute, especially this week. It's nasty this week because of attrition. However, there's been a lot of reworks with Corrupted, which I'll talk about throughout the run. It's kind of better, but it's not better at times, especially with mods like this. So, the mods are Epitaph, Champions Unstoppable, Overload, Attrition, Health Regen is impaired, as I said, Equipment Locked, Match Game, Champions Mob, and Seda's Endurance. Arc damage is increased, knockback damage is increased. That's super important to know, and you'll need to play to that. You'll need to play at these mods. It's not easy, this one. Then we're using Dawnblade, Bottom Tree, Attunement of Flame, Solar Grenade, Healing Rift. Paired that with the exotic helmet Dawn Chorus, which improves berry effects, and the Daybreak Super. My armor mods are very simple. We have High Energy Fire, Shield Break Charge, Taken Charge, which means we get a 20% weapon damage buff when we pick up either an orb or break a shield. It's as simple as that. Other than that, there's nothing special about my setup rather than maybe high recovery, so we get more healing rifts, ammo finders on the helmet, scavengers on the boots, recuperation on the boots as well, bomber particle deconstruction, of course, a linear and fusion rifle mod this season, transcendent blessing, which is a Dream City mod. You don't really need it, but you can put it on if you've got one. Double arc resistance is so important in this. You must put that on. If you don't, you're going to struggle. Okay, simple as that. Overload bow, pulse rifle, unstoppable. I don't know if double ammo finders stack. It says in the tooltip that there's nothing to say that it doesn't. Scavenger tooltip updated to say that it has no benefit. I don't know whether it works or not, so don't ask me whether it does, because I'm telling you right now I don't know, but that's what I put on double ammo finder. Then we got Outbreak Perfected, the exotic pulse rifle, Tyranny of Heaven, a solar bow, and then Threaded Needle, which is a void linear. Boss spec in the linear, and then major spec in the bow. That was the setup. So as soon as you spawn in, you're going to get one overload captain straight away. So what I tend to do is throw a solar nade straight away, and then just keep continually overloading him. You can pick and choose when you're going to use your heavy and when you're not, because obviously this is double primary run. There's a couple of reasons why I went double primary, which I'll explain sort of later on in the run itself. But you really need to pick and choose when you're going to use heavy. Like for how my playstyle is, I don't use loads of heavy. I don't spam heavy anyways. So generally it's in my best interest to use double primary because I have bricks on the floor. Whereas if I maybe use, you know, the general primary special heavy, you'd still get heavy, don't get me wrong, with the ammo finders and what have you. You just get a little bit less. Now, to some people they might say, well, that's not true. But believe me, try running the game with double primary heavy for a day. Just do that. Run it for a day, and then the next day go back to your general primary special heavy, and you tell me whether you get more heavy or not, because it's definitely a thing. It's also definitely a thing if you're using double special heavy. That's even better in terms of heavy drops, but we can't be doing double special heavy for solos, okay? It's sort of out the question for Nightfalls like this, which is why I don't run them. So with this section here, what I'm doing is this. I've killed the taken sniper, if you notice, that sat on the perch on the cliff. It's key that you do that because that makes the overload champion move. If you don't do that, the overload champion will sit with that taken sniper. Now, this run isn't platinum. Now, I was trying something on this run, so don't assume that this might be right or wrong. Because what I'm doing is manipulating spawns here, because there's one overload that spawns at the start. This is the one I'm fighting right now. If I kill the taken acolyte to my right, that will spawn in more acolytes and another overload. Now, the history of this is whenever that's happened where you don't get all the champions and say you don't trigger one champion, the game doesn't account that for platinum ranks. Now, this Nightfall's bugged to hell as it is anyway, so I don't know if I done wrong or right, because they end up getting gold in the end, and I've heard that you get gold even if you get platinum. So I don't know whether I've done wrong or right, but I'm just optimizing something here where, right, well, we don't need to spawn that overload in. Maybe if I had spawned him and I would have got platinum, but who knows? I don't know. The Nightfall's pretty bugged. There's champions all over the place. Night loot drops are bugged, which is why I wasn't in a hurry to make a video on it, to be honest. You know, Corrupted's been out for ages, and I'm happy with some reworks they've done, but there's a lot of things, you know, like this, where it's like, why are we playing bugged Nightfalls? Like, why are we playing them? Just don't ship them. Just play another Nightfall. I don't know why we're doing it, and I don't know why we're locked into 6 Nightfalls. Why is that a thing? Why are we playing 6 Nightfalls a season? I don't like that. I like the old system of, you know, you just random Nightfalls popping up. So what I'm doing here is, make sure you do what I'm doing. When you go through the portal, come back all the way to the door. Why do we do that? Well, it stops the elevator from bugging out. That's another bug. Now, it happens for me every time. I've heard some people say it doesn't. I've heard some people that it does. What I would say is, if you're having problems with the elevator, just do that little trick I just done then. It reloads the whole zone, and it makes sure that the elevator is not bugged, which means you can't scan the elevator, you can't proceed with the encounter. It's a waste of time. So just make sure you do what I've just done there, and you're fine. If you're not having experiences, not having any problems with the elevator, in any case, then you don't need to do that, do you? When you go to the elevator section, you'll have 4 scions. Take them quickly because they can duplicate fast. I use Outbreak for this. It's just a little bit better for ag clear than the bow. The bow's great, don't get me wrong, but for ag clear at times, it's a little bit slow. We'll get the scan now. I go around to the right. You could go around to the left, but you want to do 2 things: a solar nade and a melee. That will then chain a load of solar fiery explosions, just like what Necrotic Grip does, but a solar version of it, basically. Then you can then wipe out all your signs. You must wipe those signs out immediately. You have an increased chance of surviving the elevator if you do that, because then you can focus the 2 phalanxes that chase you. Focus the 2 phalanxes and then take them out with your linear. Leave the Centurion till last. I know he can be annoying with his void attacks, but the quicker you do this, the easier it sort of is. So you can also always use Phoenix Dive, which is an ability you're going to see me use loads, because Attrition is on. Attrition's fine in certain Nightfalls. In other Nightfalls it's not so fine, because if you're playing from range, how are you getting health regen? Well, you're not. So, you know, I think we're sort of past these mods where we're like, okay, let's start going on to some new modifiers. Like, we've got some in the strike playlist. I haven't really experimented with them so much. Get those in Nightfalls though. Whatever they are, put them in, because Master Nightfalls right now are like 2 years behind what they should be. And I think that's because Grandmasters were introduced and they forgot about Masters. What's the point in Masters, Legend, Hero and Depth? There's no point in them difficulties anymore, because they aren't getting worked on. You know, it comes to the point like, okay, so we're just waiting for GMs now all season. That to me is a flawed system. You know, I know people enjoy GMs, and I do myself at times. But that to me, they need to look at that. Get the mods sorted, you know, rehash them. So I use my super for the sounds there, because this phase, it's the same thing. You must take out those sounds immediately, and there's 2 waves of them. The first wave is like 10 sounds. Use a super for this just to take them out. If you do it without a super, you will struggle with this, especially without INVIS. So this is a cat and mouse game right now. This is what I'm playing. This isn't difficult. The elevator section isn't difficult at all. All you need to really be doing is taking your time. So anytime you're going to get booped, use your Phoenix Dive. That negates boop damage to you, I guess, the knockback damage. It stops you from being knocked off the map. If a phalanx boops you at all, you will go flying and probably fall off the elevator. So this is why this build is so good for that. It's also so good for your health regen. It's also been buffed in terms of ad clear. So when you, it's like Necrotic Grip, but Necrotic Grip actually works with this subclass, but I didn't want to use Necrotic Grip. Not for this, because I wanted to use Dawn Chorus for the damage. But Necrotic Grip is amazing on this subclass as well, and it's something you could have probably used. But you would lose out on damage from your super. So there's a balance. It's what path you choose there. Do you choose ad clear, or do you choose... I mean, you're still getting plenty of ad clear as is. How much ad clear do you really want? Okay? It's good enough as it is. So we'll deal with the Knight last. So the rework with the Knights, this is what I've noticed in Corrupted, because there's a lot of reworks. They do stasis and they do fire damage. So what Bungie has done to balance this is that they've nerfed the solar damage they do to you, the flames, and the radius of the flames. Look at the flames. The flame radius is very small because they do stasis. So Bungie has sort of nerfed how they do damage to us to counter the fact that they can freeze us. And it'll be a deciding factor in GMs when you're fighting against these knights when they're doing stasis against you. So I see why they've done that, and it's a good change. They're balancing the enemies, which I like. You know, you don't want them too, you know, over one way where it's like a little bit annoying to play against them, but you don't want them too easy. You want it in the middle spot. That's what you want for a nice combat experience in the game. That's what we always want. So there's going to be an unstoppable champion at once the lift opens, once the entrance opens, once the elevator's down. Sorry. I just take him with Outbreak. This is when I start to manage my ammo a little bit. As I said, we haven't got a special weapon for additional damage. We haven't got Wither Horde. We haven't got Izanagi's Burn. Although we could have used those options. You definitely could have incorporated something like that in a run like this, for sure. But I felt as though, because of the infinite ammo thing, now for primaries, you know, certain weapons like Sweet Business, Outbreak Perfected, Vexsmith class as well, he's got a lot of utility in solo play now, because you can control when you use heavy a bit more, and you get more of it because of the double primary heavy thing that you're doing. So this ends up being really good. It just depends. I mean, a Wither Horde run in this is actually good as well, actually really good. But this is also decent in terms of, you know, Outbreak puts out decent damage and it's got infinite ammo, so you can't go wrong with it at times. These knights have arc shields. Now it's match game. Another thing I've noticed with the change on Nightfalls is that if you unmatch a weapon in the Nightfalls, so you use Void on arc or Solar on Void, there's less of a penalty. You can sort of still take the shield down a little easier than it used to be. So they've done some changes with that, 100%. And I should know because I play a lot of these. And whenever I see a change, it's like, right, they've changed that. So not matching a shield doesn't matter as much. But in GMs, it might still, probably, because you're underleveled. There'll be 2 unstoppables here. So these are pretty basic. Now, I wasted super here because what I was wanting to do was super the unstoppable, and what happened was the shots guided towards the arc shielded knight. So that was a really bad play there. So what the play would be is aggro the Ogre, come back to where I am now, then use your super if you're going to do it this way. So that was a bad play. But we can finish him with Outbreak, that's no problem. We're going to get our super back anyways for when we really need it. We don't really need it at this point. This is what I was saying about match game shields. So we're doing decent damage with our solar bow, even though it's arc. We can easily take him down. And there's three shriekers in total on this area. But what I want to do first is obviously take down the unstoppable. And it's known the distance of when shriekers open up. That's key to know that. And where you can stand cover wise, which you'll see. Ogre's half HP now. It's fine. I add ammo at the elevator as well, if you didn't notice. So I've got 10 shots, but I didn't pick that up just to see if I'll get any more to drop on the floor. And we can go back for that at a later point. The ammo won't despawn. So always remember that. You see your full ammo, you've got a brick on the floor, always remember there's a brick to go back for. And it'll be key to know that in GMs as well. Because there's a lot of tanky enemies here. There's 2 mini bosses to take out. There's a lot of champions to take out. So knowing that is very important. So with these 2 actually knights, once you take down one, the other one will back off. It's just part of the AI. They'll back off to the knight at the stairs. Which is fine. Let him do that. Don't try and attempt to maybe waste heavy on the second actually knight. Just let him do what he wants to do. Then take out the Shrieker. Which I generally like to use linear on the Shriekers, because the Shriekers, they wreck. They really do. They're solar damage, sorry, void damage. But it's just the way Shriekers work in this game. With their tracking and stuff. So never confront 2 Shriekers at once. That's a key point. If you're just on one, that's fine. You can out tank them in a Helm Rift. Like so. And if you want to save a little heavy, then use Outbreak. Or whatever, you know, loadout that you chose. Bad Juju would work for super energy. It wouldn't put out the damage Outbreak would though. What I've noticed as well is that the burn damage from this subclass helps out to take match game shields as well. Which is really nice. You also get your melee back. A lot of melee energy with Dawn Chorus on. Which is, it's handy, you know, at times. Because as I said, the melee is really powerful. Any solar ability that you have on this class, the super, solar nade, the melee, it's all powerful. So we'll go back for heavy because it's very important for the next section. With there being all 3 shield types, it's really important. There's quite a bit of void. There's a lot of solar. Solar's so important in this. That's why I went with a solar bow. Rather than, you know, a solar heavy or something. So the solar bow, the Taiku's divination would work out really good in this. You could use that with an unstoppable kinetic, something like that, or just use unstoppable linear if you really wanted. But I prefer it this way, so that means I don't need to stun a target with my linear, not wasting so much ammo. Letting the primary do the stuns and then let the heavy do the damage, rather than getting stun after stun with your heavy. It just feels like a waste of times, or can do. So on the first phase, you're in the Hive realm, we'll call it. You must melt the unstoppable. That's your first category. If you don't do it in one phase, that's fine, but just make sure you do. In terms of champions, there's only one champion, I believe, in the Hive realm. One unstoppable. Now the key here is, I don't know what the variations are, don't ask. I mean, I don't know if you take out the Taken boss, do you get more champions in the Hive realm? I don't know that, but just follow this way of doing it. So we'll use a super on the Hive Ogre, because our objective now is that we're done with this realm. We want the Taken realm to finish up on. If you don't finish him, as I said, it'll just keep teleporting you between back and forth. But I like to hang around on the left side. You can hang around on the right side, wherever you want really. But I really like it on this side because you can bait out a lot of champs. All the ads group up nice. You can get the Solar Knights and so forth. You'll notice unstoppable rounds working on that Ogre as well. It works on all targets, which is really good. So once you finish off the Hive Ogre, that gets rid of the Hive realm. We will only have the Taken realm and Castaway mechanic. It won't be a thing anymore, which is good. That means now we need to focus all the champions in this area. Now there used to be overlords here, I believe, in this realm. They change it all to unstoppables, which in my opinion is probably decent, because with the Castaway mechanic, it didn't lend itself really good to be using barriers or overloads in this room. It really didn't. It was a bit too much. But having it like this, you know, it's a smart change. It's fair. You know, if you're halfway on a champ and you get teleported, then that's fine. You'll come back and, you know, you can resume your progress. So you'll have 2 champions here to take, and then when we deal damage to the Taken boss, there'll be another champion. So the next champion's linked to the boss's HP, essentially. But what I'll do is I'll fight near these stairs, We're going to have to regrettably use a bit of heavy. It's just what you're going to have to do. Heavy doesn't really matter so much at this moment in time. A lot of damage is going to come from Outbreak, your bow, or your nade, things like that. You're not going to be using your linear much. Mainly on the streakers you'll use it. Streakers and the void shields, I guess. But with the champs, you know, you can optimize nades, Outbreak. So Outbreak's compensating for a lot of usage on your heavy, essentially. Which is what makes it a good weapon. If you're going to run double primary, then use a good primary, you know, like Vexsmith class or this weapon or any other good exotic primary you can think of for PvE. Just be careful of the boss to your right. Sometimes he can boop you off the map in this room, so you've got to be aware of where that taken boss is. I come behind this pillar, that way he can't knock me off. Because to my, not to my right, to my left, sorry, there's, you can actually just fall off the map and die. So it's not a solid wall. We'll take out the second champion. As I said, there's going to be another champion to take out. So we're going to get the taken boss half HP. There's Shriekers to worry about as well. Which you can take them sort of any time, but I wouldn't advise running past too many of them. Because they will just melt you down. You could probably run past 1, 2 maximum, but no more than that. You want to be taking, you know, these Shriekers out. It's worth your time to do so. Because there's a lot more opportunities to get heavy and stuff like that. Plus you've got lineage scavenger on, you know, you're getting 8 shots per brick. So, you know, you're going to get plenty of time for that. Try not to just, you know, be too conservative with these Shriekers, because as I said, they can melt you down pretty fast. Even when you're at power like this. Anytime you're weak, activate your Phoenix Dive. You just do that by activating your class ability while you're mid-air. The higher you jump, the more health regen you get, but it is capped. They changed the way Phoenix Dive sort of works for the health regen, but it's very similar. And you can activate it every 2 seconds. You know. Another good choice would have been the Stag, the helmet, which I've been using for ages. Before they even buffed it, I was using it for ages. So if you want to go more conservative on this setup, you could. So you keep getting your healing rift back. It will be safer than this run. It might be, you know, it could be slower, it could be faster, it just depends. This run wasn't the fastest, which I will be honest with. We'll do a healing rift around this pillar. Always use pillars to your advantage with Shriekers. Whenever you're going to peek a Shrieker, make sure you're full health. If you peek at half HP, they sometimes can't out-tank that. So that's that Shrieker taken out. So there's 3 Shriekers in this room total. I advise at least take 2 of them out. You could leave the one at the back. You really don't need to take that one out. Another thing to know is that if you have any ammo drops in the taken realm, when you go out the portal, make sure you pick up those ammo drops, because even though you have ammo drops in the taken realm, you can only pick them up when you're here. But once this realm is done, it disappears and you get teleported back to the hive realm. So keep an eye on ammo drops. You must keep an eye on that. And then if you did have some ammo drops in the hive realm from previously, then you'll get all that. You'll be able to go back and get that again, remember. So this is the final phase now. We're just waiting on the Unstoppable to sort of push us. We're trying to bait him out, because a lot of this is wasting our time in terms of ammo, especially because a lot of void shields and stuff, and we've only got 6. As I know we're going to get more ammo, but if I can bait this champion, which you can do pretty easily, to the stairs, you can take out the champion, and then you can take out the taken ogre boss from a distance. All of this is, you know, we don't need it. It's just the champion that we need. So we got infinishable, that's fine, we'll get that. We get a brick as well, that's pretty nice. And then now we can take out the taken ogre. So you can just take him from the back of the map pretty comfortably, like so. We use Outbreak to save on heavy, get us our damage. With this room itself, they haven't really changed it so much. I mean, if you do the Hive Realm more than what I did, you'll get more Arc Shields. Which this setup doesn't lend itself to Arc Shields. They are easier to take than they used to be, match game shields, if you're not matching, but it's a lot of hassle taking on all those knights. So as I said, if you do it like this, you know, you're still getting all the champions in this room that you need to get, and then you can proceed. If you're going to skip the Shrieker, then just be careful on how you go about it. Go around the stairs. But once you go in the portal, this realm will disappear. You can then go back for any ammo drops that you got, which I did get some heavy in the Hive realm. Okay, so you're going to have 2 unstoppables in this location here, and then you'll have 2 overloads down below, so 4 in this room in total. This room's easy, I would say. It's not very difficult at all. You can take everything from range. You can really back up and just take out these unstoppables at your own leisure. It's not a problem to take them. What you'll find as well with these unstoppables, they bug out. They can bug out on the doors. So you'll see here, it happens to me. The way to avoid it would be to fight them in the other room. Don't fight from here. Like, unless they've got a clear path for you, they won't get bugged. But they'll bug out on the door, and then what will happen is they'll teleport. They won't teleport on top of you though, luckily. They'll just teleport in the room and then get stuck again. So it's just a case of go in the other room. The Thrall aren't too dangerous, and then you can finish him. So I couldn't hit his crit or anything. If you ever worry that you don't get a stoppable or something, or you need to jump over it, unstoppable, that's sometimes the best thing to do, especially if you're weak. And you can just Phoenix Dive over the head. You've also got directional movement with Phoenix Dive now, so you can left, right, back, forward, vertical. So there's a lot of versatility with it now. So be 2 Void Shields as well. There should be 1 on each cliff side, but sometimes 1 Void Shield will spawn in middle. But you just need to keep an eye on them because they do stasis. So you don't want to get frozen while the unstoppables are coming after you, essentially. Those are the 2 unstoppables. Actually, sorry, there's 6. So there's 4 unstoppables, 2 overloads. So I said that wrong. So there's quite a lot of champions in this room, but as I said, it's all dealt from range. So there isn't really much of a problem to it. What you want to try to do is bait 1 unstoppable at a time like that if you can. It won't always happen. If both of them push, then what you can do is stop 1 so it separates them up and let 1 sort of push you a bit more. Then you've created a gap between the 2. What you'll find with Outbreak as well, the nanites can be classed as unstoppable. So, see, you're just continually shooting and you have to reload. The nanites can stop the champ at times, which makes it, as I say, it's a fantastic weapon. It was already good, but now it's even better because of the ammo change on it. So that's really good. I wouldn't bother wasting so much ammo on the yellow bar ultra. You actually don't even need to kill the ultra. I did. You don't actually need to do that. So I could have optimized this a little bit further. All you really need to do in this room, take out the Thrall, the champions, and leave the ultra. The only problem is with the yellow bar ultra is that he'll come where you are. So when you fight the overlords, he'll get in the way, so to speak. So that's why I just took him out with the super. But if you really wanted to, you could just take out the overlords and then have a super for the next bit, which probably would have been better. As I said, I don't need to take him out. Which is strange, because most strikes you've got to take out a key target to open a door or something. But with this corrupted, a lot of it you don't. There's only certain instances where you do the ogres and things like that. So we're taking on the last overload here, so our ammo's pretty low, but there's ammo at the back. Right at the back, where we were teleporting between realms. When we killed the ogre, he dropped a brick for us, so we'll go back and get that. And that's pretty much all there is to this room. There's not much to it. The next bit's a little bit more challenging, and then the boss fight itself. People are going to have the most trouble with the boss fight, just because of how the boss fight works. The only thing is, they've sort of nerfed the way the boss fight works, but buffed it at the same time. Overall, I think it's a good change. It's going to be interesting how it works on GMs. Because it's basically a burst DPS fight at that point. So it makes you it'd be good for teams, because, you know, you'll be coordinating when to get a shield break. You know, have wells ready, have 1Ks ready, or whatever you're using. So the fight's really sort of rewarding you for being efficient with your DPS. So I like that. Because after every shield break, you only get, it might be 8 to 10 seconds of DPS, and then the boss puts a shield up that we need to take out with relics. Then you get another wave of adds. It's an infinite wave of adds. So if you keep failing DPS, it's an infinite wave. Now you can Phoenix dive all the way down. Just be careful on how you do it. My positioning was slightly off. I usually get it right. If you're not confident on that, I would just take the slow route, jumping down one by one, because that can wipe you. But again, it doesn't really matter on masters, because you're not going to go to orbit. So with this jumping part, you're going to have a lot of void shields, which can be annoying on this setup, because our heavy is void, and we don't really want to use too much heavy, because we need plenty for the boss. So what I chose to do is skip these 3 acolytes here. Jump all the way down, do a Phoenix dive as we're going to tank any damage that we need to. Behind this brick here, use a Solinade, get some burn damage, and just use your linear if you need to. And that takes out these acolytes on this section. The acolytes behind us won't interfere with us at all, so that's fine. So with this section, you want to take out the adds, I guess. If I had a server, I could skip it, but there'll be a champion there to take, which we don't want to be skipping. So I guess, as I say, you can skip, especially with a hunting invis. You could skip that entire plate, take out the champion, and then move on. But if not, then you're gonna have, it looks like 2 invisible minotaurs and 1 ultra minotaur that's invis also, which they do hit hard, so you got to be careful. The first thing you want to do on this plate is take out all the thrall. It's very dangerous. If you end up having a super, then you can use it. I ended up using one in the end, because it was just, I was getting hit quite a bit. Because you got to be careful as well. From the left hand side where the champion is, there's a sniper that can get you. So you got to be careful. Just trying to get this invisible minotaur on the right first, but I was having trouble with him. So I just popped my super instead. We'll deal with the ultra now. That's that done, and then it's just the 2 remaining champions. These used to be bugged on the old version, where the champions would fall off if you weren't quick enough. That's not a problem anymore. The champions don't fall off that way. So that's a good change for this Nightfall. So our heavy's not too bad. It's in between. I wouldn't like to use much more, so if you've got any ammo less than 10, then just use your bow. Because as I said, you can use the bow just to take out the champions. You don't need to be really exerting heavy. If you're low on it, then don't. Just use your bow, it'll do the work. If you have an explosive head on this bow, it's even better. I don't have that roll for this bow, so my roll isn't as good as what, you know, as an explosive one. We like to take out the sniper first. If you don't, the sniper can bubble the overload, and then the overload can enrage. So overload champions can enrage if you hit them with damage that's not overload. So say you hit them with a nade, they'll enrage and they'll do that enrage attack that they do to you, which is deadly if you get hit by it too much. So just be careful of that. So our situation armor-wise is really good. Full heavy. Halfway to a super close to, so we don't really need the super, but the super can help you, I guess, on phase 1. But they've reworked how this fight works as well. So you can actually now fight on different islands, whereas you never used to be able to do that. What I mean by that is where I'm walking right now, you can actually fight from there, which you'll see me do that. But on the first phase, you'll get a wave of ads instantly. Obviously the boss is shielded. So what I like to do is throw a solar nade right there, because it will chain a whole lot of solar damage for you. It may even chain to the solar knights, and then just use your primary to kill them. It's kind of like Code of the Commander with the shield detonator, but it's for solar damage, sort of like that. And it's chained to the knights. I've took their solar shields and I can finish them with Outbreak. If I stand here, the boss won't affect us. So that's really good. Now, I've got Transcendent Blessing on. It's a free shield break on the boss. Even without Transcendent Blessing, it's still free shields. So, with 2 Transcendent Blessings, it may be a 2 shield break. I'm not 100%. So what I like to do is stay up in the air. Just be careful of the boss's damage, because arc damage is increased. So you've got to be careful about that. Sometimes the boss will do more damage than other times. There's a bit of RNG to it. I still haven't worked out myself why that is. So you want to set yourself up in a good position to get good critical hits on the boss. You must get your critical hits. If you don't, you're losing so much damage if you don't do this. So tee yourself up for that. Get as many shots off as you can. You won't get the boss to half HP. You're going to struggle to do it. You can do it, but you're going to struggle to do it. Then once that phase is done, you can come back to this island here. You won't get a turn back zone. Some of the islands you will, but this one you won't. Now what's happened there is there's a whole load of wave of ads spawned at once. This is where the super is going to come in really handy for you. So you can just have fun. They'll all congregate to the middle island. Use your super. The super is not really that good for DPS on this boss particularly. I mean, it's okay, it's not bad at all. But the super's got more versatility with surviving through the ads. Your linear is going to do all the damage you want in the world, especially with particle deconstruction. There's a couple of different ways of doing this. You could hit the boss on the first phase, maybe 2 shots. You'll get less ads that way. Then on the second phase of the first phase, you would just spam as much ammo in to get the boss below half HP, because below half HP is the trigger for the boss to go into the next realm. But doing it like this is fine as well, as long as you've got a super. And not only that, you can stand from this island. I'm completely safe, really. Well, I'm not completely safe, but I'm a lot safer than standing on that middle island, because you get pushed by the scions and the knights. The boss can boop you at times, which you really need to learn the boop mechanics with this boss. If you stand near the boss actually has a stomp mechanic, but it also has its boop mechanic, where there'll be a white circle that spawns around you, and a second or 2 after that you'll get knocked back. So the modifier is increased for that, increased knockback damage. So you have to be super careful with that. we'll get two ball breaks, and then we'll go to middle to prepare for the last bit of damage for the first phase. You must get at least one crit, or one or two crits, which we're going to do right now. Switch our heavy before we throw the ball. Throw the ball, ready your shots. That little optimization helps you to get your crits. It means, what this means is this. The actions are, you throw the ball, your heavy's already equipped, so you can pre-aim your crits. If you throw the ball and your outbreak or your kinetic is out, you've got to swap, that's time wasted. Then pre-charge, so you're already losing so much time. It might not sound like a lot, but it is. A second or two gain an advantage for getting crits on the boss. It's really good, because this boss is tricky to get critical hits on. It has a prison multiplier buff on this boss, so it does more damage than what it would to other bosses, just because of how the boss works. You know, wizards and witches are like that. So getting the crits is crucial. If on one phase you miss like 3 or 4 crits, you've just wasted a phase, because then you're going to have to get 3 more relics, kill more knights, kill more scions to prep yourself for the next DPS phase. You really need to plan it. If that means taking yourself another 10 or 20 seconds to ready yourself, get your healing rift down, all that stuff, then so be it. You'd rather have that than have to do another phase of knights, because then you might not have a super, you might not have a solar nade to do damage, and then you might be in trouble. Obviously you can always go back to that island, you know, but try to optimize it. Don't make the fight harder than what it already sort of is. So there's champions here, of course. There's 3 champions in total, 2 champions in total. So there's 1 overload here and 1 unstoppable. Since heavy's tight-ish for me, because you want, I would say, you want no less than 10 for coming into this room. Maybe 8, 9 will be just enough, but no less than that. If you're coming into this realm with no ammo at all, and you don't get any drops, then you're gonna maybe need to rely on a super for each time for damage. But you're really gonna struggle, especially if you're on double primary. If you're using maybe a sniper or you're using Witherhoard, you can get away with it. But on this setup you can't, so that's where you really need to plan your heavy. That's why I said from the get-go, when you get to the boss, make sure you've got a bit of ammo. Don't spam it. Once you kill the Solar Knight, the boss will then teleport to the next island. That's how it works. But there will be snipers on some of the islands. The one island that we're coming up to, there's 2 snipers, 1 unstoppable champion, and a Solar Knight. So take the 2 snipers first. And then what you're going to do is with the Solar Knight is just keep breaking his shield. Because what will happen is you'll break his shield, he'll hide. That's just what it'll do. So you're just going to have to play the patience game with it. Or you can use your linear if you want, but I was just wanting to make sure I had enough ammo for phase 2. And like I say as well, we'll be unstoppable on that island, which will actually go over there. When you go over there, don't be careful not to be booped by the champion though. So just when you're jumping over, make sure you're looking to see where that unstoppable is. Like right now, I'm not really paying attention too much, and the unstoppable sees me. Also, don't get booped by the rocks between islands. Just keep an eye before you jump over. I was willing to use a bit of heavy on this champion, as it's a little island really. You don't want to be toying with the champion too much. And then we're on to the final phase. So it's same with this. They've reworked this phase 2. It's kind of weird how it works. So you can kind of fight from an island from the main one, which I'm standing on it now, but you can't always. There's a catch to it. So on the first phase of this final phase, if you like, there'll be scions, which you want to bait those scions to you, and you also want to make an orb of light. to make sure you get a 20% damage buff, because that'll just help you damage. It'll just help seal the deal. It means you're using less ammo. Say you had less ammo than me, then you could still pull this off, but you'd need the charge of light. You need the 20%. That would obviously buff with your, that would actually stack with your Vorpal weapon. Obviously you really need a Vorpal threaded needle. I mean, you don't need it, but it's really going to assist you if you do. It'll stack with that, it'll stack with boss spec, all of that together. I've got Transcendent Blessing on. That's a tiny increase, but it's nothing special. But the goal here is to, as I say, just take out all the sounds. If they duplicate, let them do that. You'll just keep making orbs. So eventually when you jump over there and all the sounds are taken out, you will then have some orbs for charge of light. You also won't get booped from the boss on this island, which is really good. So that's why we're also doing it, because you have to constantly be on, you know, keep an eye on the boss essentially. So what I'm doing there is every time the boss does his mechanic of wanting to knock you off the map, slide. Now on a hunter you can do the jump where you jump back onto the map, it's fine. On a Warlock not so much. So you're better off just sliding. Just get your timing right. Obviously keep an eye on your health because there's no health regen. But every now and then, always expect the boot mechanic. Or you can use Phoenix Dive to negate it, which you've seen me do that. I was missing shield break throws here, just because I was sort of panicking. Rushing my throws. Usually the Emesis carries it though. So see there where the boss hit was really hard. So sometimes the boss will hit you really hard. I've been one shot by this boss in a run before. I'm not sure why, just sometimes you do. So always be on your toes with this boss. So there you saw I used the Phoenix Dive ability to negate the boop mechanic. And I got health regen. So if you stay in cover long enough, the boss won't boop you. It just depends where you stand. Sometimes on that occasion, that didn't happen. But if I stand idle, the boss will sort of stop doing that. We'll get our third shield break. We got booped, but that's fine. We still get a bit of damage in. Ideally, what you want to do there is bait out a boop, throw the relic, then do DPS. But that's fine. I done enough damage to seal the deal on the next phase. That's all I really needed. On this phase, you get solo captains. So this is where you got to use a super. It's as simple as that, really. Because you can't go back to the outer islands, not yet. On this phase, at least. I haven't 100% worked out how this works yet. But there's 2 solo captains that spawn in. And then you can see you're getting a turn back message, but I've taken them out, so I was confused with that. I thought that the turn back message will go away once the solo captains are taken. It wasn't the case, so I guess you can't go back there on this phase. On the very last phase. That's fine. Once the solo captains are taken out, you're good. You're good to go. We'll do a healing rift right at the where the relic spawns. I don't know why my relics wasn't in the middle. I'm just watching it now and I don't know why that is. So there's a lot of things I'm not 100% about with it. But you know, these are the best tips I can offer as of now with this Nightfall. Then you just finish off with a couple of crits. And that should seal the deal on the boss. But that was the Solo Master on the Corrupted. It was long, I appreciate that, but that was what I used on this run. Hope you enjoy, thank you.